Patrick Graham is officially back with the Raiders as the defensive coordinator. According to Josina Anderson, who broke the news earlier today, Graham and the Raiders have agreed on a deal to bring him back. League sources confirm this development. This is huge news for the Raiders. Having a sharp mind like Patrick Graham back not only strengthens the team but also adds continuity. Many players are already familiar with him, and his return brings a sense of stability. What makes this even more exciting is that Graham had other opportunities elsewhere. Despite getting interviews and job offers, he's decided to return to Las Vegas after initially turning down an extension. Graham's presence could also have a big impact on free agency this offseason. The Raiders have several key defensive players set to hit the open market. With Graham back, his relationships with these players might help the team retain some, or even most, of them. One notable name is Malcolm Company. While Coe didn't get much of a chance to shine this season, his potential is undeniable. Graham's return might open doors for him and other free agents to make a bigger impact moving forward. Looking back at the previous season, Malcolm Coe showed promise toward the end. It'll be interesting to see if the Raiders bring him back. Another standout name is Chason, who really made an impact last season. Bringing both of these guys back would be a smart move. Together, they could lock down that edge position opposite Max Crosby, strengthening the defense. Speaking of key players, let's not forget Robert Spain. He's the heart and soul of the defense outside of Crosby, the best linebacker the Raiders have had in a while. He gives 110% on the field and can do it all. Keeping him around would be crucial. Then there's Nate Hobbs and Trayvon Moehrig, both of whom had breakout seasons last year. Their development is exciting for the team's future. Now, I know some people are skeptical about Patrick Graham's return, thinking he only came back because he didn't get other offers. Honestly, I don't care. He explored his options, and that's fair. What matters is he's back, and with the right pieces in place, the Raiders' defense could be something special. Patrick Graham's uncertainty about returning likely stemmed from not knowing who the head coach would be. Now, with Pete Carroll at the helm, a highly respected leader with years of experience, it makes sense why Graham would want to be part of this team. Pairing Carroll's leadership with Graham's defensive expertise could do wonders for the Raiders moving forward. This stability is also great news for Max Crosby. He's had to deal with constant changes in coordinators almost every year. Keeping Graham brings much-needed continuity, which Crosby and the entire defense can benefit from. Yes, last season had its ups and downs, but let's not forget the season before when Antonio Pierce took over as interim head coach. The defense really stepped up back then. Injuries plagued them last year, so it's unfair to place the blame solely on the defense. Looking ahead, there are still plenty of dogs on this team, ready to make a big impact. With the right coaching and healthy players, the Raiders' defense has the potential to shine again. With Pete Carroll already in the building and John Spike as GM, I'm confident the Raiders will add even more weapons to the defense. No matter what names come in, I trust this team will have some serious dogs on the field. This move makes me excited for what's ahead. Welcome back to the silver and black, Patrick Graham. Another familiar face returning is Tom McMahon as the special teams coordinator. Tom Pelissero broke the news, confirming that the Raiders are retaining him. Now, I'll be honest, this isn't the most exciting update. But just like with Patrick Graham, it brings continuity, which the team needs right now. Yes, special teams struggled last year, but McMahon already has established relationships with the players. Hopefully that connection leads to better results next season. The only way for this team to go is up, especially with stars like Daniel Carlson and A.J. Cole leading the special teams. I think they'll be in good hands regardless. Credit to Tom McMahon for staying on the coaching staff through 3 different regimes, first hired by Josh McDaniels, sticking around with Antonio Pierce, and now returning under Pete Carroll. That kind of continuity is invaluable for the Raiders, so I can't complain. Let's just hope for better results next season. Now, one of the most crucial hires still pending is the offensive coordinator. While nothing is set in stone, one name keeps coming up as a favorite. Dolphins quarterback coach and former Seahawks offensive coordinator Darrell Bevell. According to reports from Tom Pelissero and Ian Rappaport, Bevel has a strong chance of landing the job. He's an experienced play caller, best known for his time with the Seahawks from 2011 to 2017, under none other than Pete Carroll. They had some great years together, although things did fall apart toward the end. Still, it seems they've patched things up, and Bevel's experience could be exactly what the Raiders need to revive their offense. There's skepticism about this potential hire, but compared to some of the offensive struggles we've seen over the past decade, especially under coordinators like Luke Getsy, Bevel could be a step in the right direction. Looking at Darrell Bevel's history with Pete Carroll, they first teamed up in 2011. During his time with the Seahawks, the team only missed the playoffs twice, his first and final seasons. They won the NFC West 3 times, made 2 Super Bowl appearances, and should have won both. But hey, they did walk away with 1 ring. Eventually, Carroll let Bevel go, and he moved on to coordinate offenses for the Lions and Jaguars without much success. However, his last 3 seasons with the Dolphins as their quarterback coach were impressive. Bevel played a crucial role in turning that offense into one of the most explosive units in recent history, thanks to Tua Tagovailoa, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle. If the Raiders decide to bring Bevel on board to reunite with Pete Carroll, I wouldn't be jumping for joy, but I can't deny his experience. Ideally, the Raiders should explore younger, innovative coordinators who could potentially become the team's future head coach. Or who knows? Maybe Patrick Graham could step up and take that role someday if the team moves on from Carroll in a few years. One wild possibility being floated is that if Bevel joins, the Raiders might consider bringing Russell Wilson to Vegas to reunite the whole gang. Now that would be a storyline worth watching. Russell Wilson's name sparks mixed reactions among Raider Nation. Let's face it, he's not a popular option, but there have been strong reports linking him as a potential veteran quarterback for the Raiders. I get it. Opinions vary. But personally, I wouldn't mind seeing Wilson in the silver and black, at least as a bridge option. He already knows Pete Carroll's system and has a strong relationship with him. Let's be real, he's better than any quarterback we've brought in since parting ways with Derek Carr. Plus, Wilson's leadership could be invaluable as a mentor for a young quarterback like Jackson Dart or Jaden Mayava if the Raiders draft them. His experience might just help mold the future face of the franchise. Interestingly, Pete Carroll addressed the possibility of a Wilson reunion earlier today. He was careful, saying it's too early to make predictions since free agency hasn't even started. But what really caught attention? Carroll also mentioned the intriguing possibility of bringing Marshawn Lynch on board as a coach. Now that would be something special. Beast mode back on the sidelines with the Raiders. Free agency can't come soon enough. Pete Carroll kept things pretty close to the chest when asked about potential moves for the Raiders. I could guess, but it would just be a guess, he admitted. One thing was clear, though. Carroll emphasized that every option will be considered aggressively. That's the mindset of a true competitor. When asked about Marshawn Lynch possibly joining as a coach, Carroll laughed it off, saying he wasn't sure Lynch would coach, but hinted that beast mode might be seen on the sidelines in some capacity. Now, that would be a sight for Raider Nation. Credit to Carroll for playing it smart. He's keeping his cards close while settling into Vegas. Free agency is still a couple of months away, and there's no rush to make off-the-cuff decisions. I do appreciate his openness to all possibilities, though. If any quarterback is heavily linked to Carroll, it's Russell Wilson. However, there's also the possibility of targeting Geno Smith via trade. With the quarterback position being the most crucial decision ahead, Raider Nation will have plenty to watch for in the coming weeks. This offseason, there are reports from Tony Pauline suggesting that the Raiders are looking to trade up for a quarterback. He mentioned that the Raiders, along with SpyTech, are working hard to move into one of the top 2 spots in the draft to secure their future quarterback. If the Raiders hadn't beaten the Saints and the Jaguars, they might not even need to trade up to get a good quarterback. But that's in the past now, and we all know that finding a quarterback is a huge priority for the Raiders. I really trust Pete Carroll and John SpyTech, but moving up to those top 2 spots in the NFL draft won't be easy. It's going to take a lot, likely multiple first-round picks, and maybe even a star player. I just hope Max Crosby isn't part of that trade because I want him to stay with the team and retire as a Raider. When it comes to quarterback options, Cam Ward and Shader Sanders are at the top of the list, especially if the Raiders want someone to learn under a veteran quarterback. However, there's a chance one of them could fall to the Raiders without needing to trade up. If it were up to me, I wouldn't move up for them. Instead, I'd focus on drafting the best player available and then look for a quarterback in the second round, or consider moving up late in the first round to grab someone like Jalen Morrow, Dylan Gabriel, or Jackson D. Speaking of quarterbacks, Jackson Dart has become a favorite among Raider Nation. As we look ahead to the draft, whether it's in the second round, third round, or wherever, I believe Jackson Dart's stock is going to rise in the coming weeks and months. He could even be the guy we select at number 6 if his stock climbs that high. A big shout out to Vinny B, who was at the Senior Bowl and got to ask Jackson Dart how he feels about possibly reuniting with his former teammate, JPJ, here in Las Vegas. Jackson expressed his excitement, saying, "I love that. He's my boy. We were high school teammates, and he was my center. He's such a talented player. Every year I tried to get him to leave Oregon and come play with me. It would be amazing, especially since it's close to home." I truly believe Jackson Dart could be the best quarterback for the Raiders if we don't trade up. I can already picture it. Jackson Dart being selected by the Las Vegas Raiders, joining a team full of weapons. Just think about it. He'd be under center with JPJ and a talented roster that includes Brock B. and Job Myers. Who knows what the Raiders will do in free agency or the draft? If they play their cards right, and if Pete Carroll can bring in the right veteran quarterback along with Jackson Dart, the sky's the limit for this team. It makes me even more excited about the offseason. Now, Raider Nation, I want to hear from you. What do you think about all the latest news that's come out recently? How do you feel about Patrick Graham and Tom McMahon returning? What are your thoughts on Darrell Bevell possibly becoming the next offensive coordinator for the Raiders? And what do you think is the best move for the Raiders at quarterback? Should they go after Russell Wilson or another quarterback, or should they trade up to get Jackson Dart? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I won't take up any more of your time. Until the next video, this is your boy S. Raider signing off.